All right, great.
Yeah.
So the webinar is being recorded. It is also being shared to our live our Facebook page. So thank you all for participating. Good evening. My name is Kelly Brazovac, and I'm EBCE's Senior Manager of Account Services. Thank you for joining us to review potential updates to East Bay Community Energy's value proposition for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. That's July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. So today I'll start with a brief introduction to EBCE. Then I'll provide background on today's value proposition and then discuss proposed changes. Lastly, I'll open the floor to comments from our attendees. I have a couple of colleagues on the line with me today, and we'll be doing our best to answer questions in real time. So please feel free to use the chat or Q&A feature that you see on the screen. I'll do my best at the end to also repeat all of those so everyone has the same knowledge. Of course, you may want to hold on to those at the end, especially if they are actually public comments rather than clarifying questions. So a reminder, this is a public meeting. As I said, it is being recorded. So during the presentation, you won't be able to speak, but we will open the floor and allow you, unmute you so that you can add your comments. At that time, I'd ask that you're prepared with your name and organization if appropriate, and location of your home or business. For that, you can use the chat or Q&A tool to indicate that you'd like to add a comment. I'll be providing 3 minutes for each public comment. Quick background here. So what is East Bay Community Energy? EBCE is the local power provider for residential and commercial electricity customers in Alameda County, its cities, and the city of Tracy in neighboring San Joaquin County. Our mission is to provide more renewable energy at lower rates and to reinvest revenues back into our communities to create local jobs, administer customer programs, and catalyze sustainable development. Technically, EBCE is a joint powers authority, a local government agency created by the cities and counties it serves. In this way, EBCE is similar to a school district, only instead of providing public education, we provide a public option for energy administered at the local level. This graphic shows the components of electric service, generation, and transmission. EBCE procures energy from sources like wind and solar, which is then delivered through PG&E's lines to our shared customers. Electricity generation and delivery are billed separately on your PG&E bill. PG&E delivers the electricity and the bill, while EBCE provides customers with energy from facilities like our Scott Haggerty Wind Energy Center in Livermore. EBCE is locally governed, which allows for public meetings like the ones we're hosting right now. Some definitions. Let's walk through some key terms to make sure we're all using the same language. EBCE customers have two options. First is Bright Choice, which features a 1% rate discount and includes a minimum of 5% more renewable energy than PG&E has forecasted for their standard service. And two, Renewable 100. This offers 100% California-based wind and solar at 1 penny per kilowatt hour more than PG&E. Next, let's define default service. By state law, Assembly Bill 117, EBCE is the default power supplier for our customers within our service area. Everyone that receives service from EBCE begins on their default service. This is the plan that your local city council selected for your jurisdiction. I'll give everyone on the line a few moments to find their own default service. Note that if you haven't used our online web forms or automated phone service, or emailed or spoken with our customer service team to make a specific service choice, you are receiving the default service listed here. You're always welcome to choose Bright Choice or Renewable 100, and I'll share our contact information at the end of this presentation if you'd like to update your selection. And lastly, two additional terms. When we discuss rates, this is the amount that we charge for electricity. Today, we update our rates when PG&E changes their generation or other generation fees. The value proposition. This is the financial savings that customers may see as an EBCE customer. And yes, EBCE does bring additional value to our community. However, this presentation is only about the direct financial value to our customers, which actually has been quite significant. We've saved our customers over $30 million since 2018. All right, so now the main event, the recommendations for next year. Starting off with a little bit of a forecast. So no surprise to anyone who's purchased just about anything this year, energy prices are also high, which means PG&E has increased their rates. Now, since our rates are pegged to PG&E's rates, this means that our rates have also increased, though we've maintained our 1% discount. Today, while our rates to procure or buy electricity have also increased, we aren't seeing quite the same dramatic increase as PG&E, which brings us to our recommendation. Due to the difference in PG&E's rates and EBCE's power procurement costs, we expect to be able to support an increased discount for our customers. Our staff has recommended to our board of directors that the Bright Choice discount increase from 1% to 3%, and that the premium for Renewable 100 decrease from 1 penny down to 3/4 of a penny. Additionally, EBCE will apply a $50 bill credit to our CARE or FARA customers, and we'll focus this on a high bill month, which is for most customers is in the sort of December, January, February, sort of a winter timeframe. Lastly, now there are several unknowns in the market today. So if our favorable forecast presides, then EBCE expects to apply additional on-bill credits for customers at least one more time during this fiscal year, for all customers, at least once during this fiscal year. So let's take a look at what this means for customer bills. So for our average residential customer who uses shy of 400 kilowatt hours a month, their monthly savings from PG&E will go from about 60 cents to $1.80. That's a $20 annual savings. The Renewable 100 premium would drop by $1. So instead of being $3.90, we're looking at $2.90 with that 3/4 of a penny change there. Next, we have a small commercial. So in the small commercial side, we see their average electric only discount, their average electric only Bright Choice electric bill would drop by $5 from $5.75 to $5.70. And the average renewable electric premium would drop from $18 to $13.50. This is for a small commercial customer. Think a small shop, maybe on a main street. And now we have our large commercial customers. These are those big B19 customers. This might be a large, like a large office building or small manufacturing facility. Here we see, this is where you actually see, some big savings. You see monthly savings to PG&E jumping from $238 a month up to $713 a month with that 3% savings. And the monthly renewable premium drops from $1,625 a month down to $1,200 a month. So those are just some really simple bill examples to give a sense of like what that 3% and that and that 3/4 of a penny might look like. So in the interest of time, I see we do have a couple of additional attendees who have joined. So I'm going to go back over some of the rules here on how to participate in public comment. Thank you to those who joined late. If you joined late and you didn't get to answer our poll, if you could also let us know maybe in the chat how you heard about this webinar, we'd appreciate that. All right, so next, how to participate. So please find the chat bubble at the bottom of the screen. There, I'd like you to enter your name, your city, and organization, if applicable, into the chat box. If you're calling as a resident or business owner, just make that clear. We'll call on each speaker in the order we received and unmute that speaker. I will do my best to have a timer up on the screen, and so that you know how much time you have. You have 3 minutes. So note that this webinar is being recorded. It will be getting posted to our website, and we'll also be taking down your comments and including them in the board memo for this budget item next month. So I'm going to leave those comments on the screen for now. And then I'm going to go to the next slide just because there's some additional info, and just in case anyone needs to state their comment and leave, I want to make sure that you know our next steps, which are to, as I said, post this webinar, including your comments to our website. All comments will be summarized and included in the staff report to the board. If instead of making a verbal comment today, you prefer to make a written comment, those may be emailed to public comment. Note there are 2 C's in the middle there, public comment at ebce.org. All comments are due by next Friday at 8 a.m. All right, I'm going to return to that how-to slide. And I see we already have some comments. So what I'll do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and bring up the timer. All right. All right, can everyone see the timer?
Yep, we can see it.
Great, thanks. Okay, so going into the chat here. So Audrey Ichinose, Audrey, where are you calling in from? I'd ask if you could state that at the top when you make your comment. And if you're commenting on behalf of yourself or an organization. Audrey, I'm going to allow you to talk right now.
Thank you. I entered my name again in the chat because I realized that I needed to add information. So thank you, Kelly. I live in South Berkeley. My name is Audrey Ichinose, East Bay Clean Power Alliance. I'm a member of that organization, as well as the California Alliance for Community Energy. I live in South Berkeley on the Oakland border, and I appreciate very much EBCE is holding this public workshop. It speaks to EBCE's transparency and community focus. So thank you. I want to comment on 2 things. One regarding the value propositions. I think we should treat the rates for Bright Choice and Renewable 100 differently. Lowering the cost of Bright Choice vis-a-vis PG&E is excellent, but there is no need to change the premium for Renewable 100. If enrollment in Renewable 100 does not change much because of it, and that the staff will be able to predict, I guess, leaving the rate the way it is would allow the following benefits. 1, it would add funding for other activities on a one-time basis, of course, while maintaining strong budgetary stability given the volatility of prices. And secondly, it would maintain our commitment to attain 100% renewable energy as rapidly as possible. Opting up to 100 R100 is voluntary, and prices have less to do with the decision here than commitment to lowering emissions. 6, I believe, EBC jurisdictions chose R100 as a default for some or all of its accounts. And one way to really raise renewable energy enrollment, R100 enrollment, would be for more jurisdictions to do so, but provided that subsidies are made available beyond the CARE-FERA cutoff. Clean Power Alliance, the CCA in Los Angeles County, offers a Renewable 100 product in most of its jurisdictions and provides subsidies to many income qualified residents. there. And secondly, as for the $15 million grant to Children's Hospital, how can one object to such a worthy cause? But will it be the best use of our funds? As many have said, EBCE needs to concentrate its resources in the area it knows best, emissions reductions. The urgency of doing so, doing its best in this area, is underscored by a report yesterday in the Washington Post that the EPA data dramatically underestimate air pollution in parts of the Bay Area where people of color and low-income families live. And I list the URL. Transportation electrification of heavy trucks in particular would especially benefit the communities living along freeways and the Port of Oakland. So with these two worthy endeavors, I propose this compromise. EBCE can employ its formidable IT expertise to mount a campaign to crowdfund the asthma program at Children's Hospital, or it might be able to figure out a way to use its billing process to solicit donations to this worthy cause. And supplementing what it raises, our agency could say truly that this endowment comes from EBCE. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your comment, Audrey. Okay. Next, we have Chris Gilbert, who is representing, they're representing themselves, and they are from Berkeley. Chris, I am going to allow you, unmute you here. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm happy that you're proposing lowering rates. I think that's great. I think lowering the base rate, the Bright Choice 3%, would be better done if renewable were lowered to be on par with PG&E. I don't think people it'll make much difference to people if Bright Choice is discounted 2% or 3%. It will save them a few dollars, but to be able to say that EBCE is now offering 100% renewable electricity at the same rate as PG&E's base product would be quite a coup. It would be a feather in the cap of the agency. It would much overwhelm any kind of discount from 2 to 3% for Bright Choice. So I recommend moving 100% renewable to be equal to PG&E, discounting Bright Choice to 2.25 rather than 3. And I agree with the previous speaker about spending on Children's Hospital. Even more so, I agree with not spending for uniforms for a baseball team, as was advertised in a past newsletter. I think this is great PR, but I think EBCE should concentrate on its expertise. The skills that EBCE has are unique and should be applied to energy-related investments, not in the medical field or the social field. Let the rich billionaires that don't know what to do with their money throw it at hospitals. Let's have EBCE invest in something it knows. Low-income electrification, community projects about electricity. So if we're talking about where to get money from, I would say cut out the PR donations, invest in what we know, and definitely make 100% renewable equal to PG&E. The PR, the marketing, the reputation of EBCE will be greatly enhanced for that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Next up, we have Blair Beekman from Fremont.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. from what I've heard, I came a little late, but yeah, what I've heard, you are working on rate decrease issues, which considering that we're dealing with issues of inflation and cost of living increases in the Bay Area, it's raising the rents for housing a lot. The fact that you're trying to work towards these ideas is really thankful. Thank you for these attempts. I was ready to make a statement that it was important for us as EBCE for all the other agencies and thought that's going into a period of inflation. We just seem to be gearing towards that way. The EBCE is trying to address that, and I find that really interesting. Thank you immensely. I don't have the depth to understand exactly how you're doing this and why, and it will be good to learn that process. And just a thank you, and I guess a thank you to people like Scott Wiener from the state level assembly or Senate. They're working on measures right now to further divest from fossil fuels and to create a real standard in how we're going to be talking about fossil fuels in the next year. That I think we started, previous, this war with Ukraine and, previous COVID, basically. We set a course with our renewables to really focus on renewables first, and that fossil fuel use that I'm learning to more understand will be a part of the picture of the renewable package. It doesn't get a free ride. It doesn't get a free pass because of that. There has to be real stringent guidelines how we're going to be practicing the future and allowing the future of fossil fuels. And we're doing that in California. And thank you for that. That is an important concept to be considering as we're going to be working with more US fossil fuels in the next year because of Putin and their war effort. So an overall thank you that we have good policies in place that I think can be great examples how to use restraint in the future of fossil fuel. And thank you for that. And thank you for you're trying to address the questions of inflation. And that's awesome of yourselves. And for us, I hope it can be something that can be passed along to other sectors of our economy, and we can really work on these issues. Amazing good work from this beginning. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Blair. And next up, we have Tom Kelly from Berkeley. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Kelly. First of all, I'd like to correct a statement in your opening about EBCE bringing more renewable energy than PG&E. It's actually, if you read the JPA agreement, it says specifically, develop an electric supply portfolio with a lower greenhouse gas intensity than PG&E, and one that supports the achievement of the parties' greenhouse gas reduction goals and the comparable goals of all participating jurisdictions. So somehow or another along the way, we've got, we sort of lost track of what our primary purpose was. Our greenhouse gas intensity is 3.5 times higher than PG&E. So, I will be submitting written comments on this, but I just wanted to point out that maybe on your next webinar, you would clarify that particular statement. So to help me in my written comments, I'd like you to provide me with data on something that staff always mentions, and that's the volatility in the energy markets. We get our energy from a lot of different types of renewable energy and other energy. And I'd like to see some kind of graphs or data, say on the last year for natural gas, renewable, solar, wind, and anything else that we have in our mix. Important, I think, for everybody to understand. The other thing, you know, in the children's hospital thing, you know, we're all probably very, I won't say amenable, but certainly interested in helping children with asthma. But let's keep in mind that asthma is created in part by the generation of electricity from our natural gas plants. So I'll be recommending that we actually put money into increasing our renewable power supply and shutting down those peaker plants and gas plants so that children and teenagers and adults all over the state actually get better air quality to breathe. And the last thing I'd like to know is, could you provide me with some indication of how much money has been spent on the local development budget from that budget? We're supposed to have been, you know, that's another one of the main elements in EBCE. But I can't really get a sense of how much we've committed over the last couple of years, or actually, you know, spent on that local development budget. So if you can get back to me with those, you know, the volatility issue and how much has been spent on the local development budget, I would very much appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the questions, Tom. Those will be included in our summary. And so I will get some eyes on that in advance of the board meeting and see if maybe some of that can be presented at the upcoming board meeting, but I'll leave that to those to that team. All right, that concludes all of the requests that we had for comment at this time. I'm going to bring back up our last slide here, just to make sure that everyone has the public comment information that Tom had kind of queued up us to mention here. So public comments are welcome at publiccomment@ebce.org. If you go to ebce.org and find the public meetings page, you'll also be able to look at the more in-depth presentation of the entire budget that was presented at our May 18th board meeting. So that's also May 18th board meeting. So it's also a great place to go if you have questions, because there are several in-depth slides about the budget and our overall financial positions. With no further comments, I'm going to conclude the webinar. Thanks so much for participating. Have a great evening.